and welcome back to another episode of the Mountain Cabin Homestead. Today we're going to do something, well, I say a little bit different. It's not different. We're always doing work up here on the homestead. It's going to be that way for a while. I mean, what else is there to do? Today we're going to focus on the solar shed. There's a couple of things we need to talk about as far as the solar shed is concerned, and I don't know if we'll get around to it today, but these panels are fine. I kind of want to get a better tilt on these panels here. I did pick up the 4 that I had laid down across the front. Those are currently in the garage, so I definitely want to get a little bit better of a tilt on these panels, get them more vertical. I don't know if we'll get around to it this episode, but setting up another 12 panels out here probably won't be this episode, but we'll do our best to do it. We need to talk about this situation here though. 100-pound propane tank. We don't use that anymore for a couple reasons. One, it's really heavy, hard to move around. And 2, I only get about a week of generator runtime from this 100-pound propane tank, which is kind of terrible considering that comes out to be about almost, I don't know, 27 gallons, and it's about $3 a gallon. I mean, it's not terrible for a week's worth of runtime, but it is really difficult to move around. Plus I get a little bit better performance as far as the gasoline is concerned, and the gas is a lot more easier to move around. Maybe once we get a more permanent like 1,000-pound or 1,000-gallon propane tank installed, maybe that might be something I want to do, is run propane up here to the generator, or even have a different type of generator, one that's more meant for this application here. Anyway, so the main problem with this generator is that it's got a remote start, and what good is a remote start if you don't want to connect power to it immediately after it starts up? And so I've been kind of working around that by lowering the charge amount down to 12 amps, which is I don't know, 1,500 watts or something like that, which the generator is fine-ish doing on startup, but it's still not great. So that's what we're going to fix today, is resolve that, so I don't have to do the weird fiddling around with the inverter settings for the generator to start up properly. And in order to do that, I've got a couple parts for that. First, we've got this part here. This is a delayed switch. So basically what happens is these two top, well, there's two. So there's the A1 and A2, and then there's S. S is just a switch. A1 and A2 are the inputs. You put 120 through that, and then once this gets 120, it delays a certain amount of time based on these two settings. Right now I have it set to 15 minutes. And then off of that, it switches a relay, which is 15, 16, and 18 down here at the bottom. And 15 and 18 is the normally closed, or no, normally open. Sorry. So that is the relay that we're going to shoot to use. Except that this is only rated for, I believe it is 12 amps. So not ideal, considering we're going to be pushing up to 30 amps to the inverter there. So in order to do that, we need to go from this 12 amp relay into this big old beefy 80 amp relay. And then this here it's got a 110 volt coil in it, so we just push 110 volts into the coil, and then we'll push a whole lot of watts through the relay side of it. So that's going to be the plan for today. Got to cut this wire, put it on the wall. I should be able to do all of this without turning the inverter off. Probably not the right way to do it, but there's no power going through this cord, so we're living dangerously. So yeah, I'm gonna get to that and go from there. Maybe do a little bit less rambling and a little bit more doing in this episode. Nice lighting. Alrighty, so moving forward, as you can see, I've got it installed. But before we get to that, I just want to explain really quickly that underneath of these batteries, I do have some heater pads, and I think, don't mind the mess. I've just got things in here because it snowed and things got to be organized. This table is just to hold these batteries temporarily. Next year, I actually plan on getting some EG4 batteries, the server rack style batteries, because how on earth are you supposed to scale this? You can't. Don't get me wrong, I love Battleborn as a company and whatnot, but you can't scale this. You just can't. It's not feasible. Great. This is a great setup for an off-grid cabin, but I need something that's scalable, so I think I'm going to switch over to EG4. Unless by that time Battleborn comes out with a server rack style battery, which would be really awesome if they did. Anyway, so these heater pads, I had one around here somewhere. Oh, here it is. So I thought this, I don't poke my eyeball out. I thought that this heater pad was not working, but I think that it is working. The way that I have it set up isn't great. What I should really have is an aluminum, probably maybe a 1/4 inch, somewhere around there, of aluminum panel underneath the batteries, and then these attached to the aluminum panel. That would be ideal, but I just don't have the aluminum panel, and eventually, maybe. Anyways, in the meantime, I've got this little heater in here that has a thermostat on it, and that actually works great. It'll turn on for about 10 to 15 minutes a couple times a day, and that's it. And that's, not terrible. And that keeps it above 40 degrees in here easy, no problem. In fact, that thing hasn't turned on the whole time I've been in here, which is great. Anyway, so what we got going on here is, here we have the input from the generator. So what happens here is the input from the generator comes into the input on the 80 amp relay here, and then from the inputs we have a hot cord going over here into the smaller time delay relay, and this also pops out and goes into the 15, the input on the actual relay output. Technically it's an input because it's a relay. Anyways, and then so this here is normally open, so there's no power coming to this. This delay, or this relay, will wait 15 minutes at its current setting before it flips this relay. And then once this relay is flipped and it's closed, then this power goes to this coil here. Now this here is a 120 volt coil, 120 volt AC coil, so 120 volts, 120 volts, so on and so forth. Anyway, so yeah, so that's the path of the hot. The hot goes from here into the time delay relay, into the input on the relay of the time delay relay, and then the output hot goes to the coil on the 80 amp relay. The neutral comes out here. The neutral comes in here, and then the neutral goes immediately into the coil, and the neutral also comes out and goes into the time delay relay to power the time delay relay. And then as soon as the time delay relay has power, then it waits 15 minutes, as I'm explaining once again, and flips relay, turns this doohickey into the on position, and then once it's in the on position, the inverter detects that it's got power and says, oh, I can start charging, and starts charging. So I don't think I ever explained the whole reason for this, or maybe I did a little bit, but basically the generator does not like pumping 30 amps of power right after it starts. It needs a little bit of warm-up time. So that's the whole reason for this, and I'm actually excited to give this a test. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to disconnect the inverter from the output on the relay here. I'm going to change the time on the relay to maybe roughly about 1 minute or so, somewhere around there, and turn the generator on and give her a test. All right, so I got the power disconnected from the inverter, so there's no connection to the inverter in case anything goes wrong on our test here. one thing that I forgot to mention, which probably doesn't need to be mentioned, is from this cord here, from the input from the generator, our ground goes into this wire nut directly into the input on the inverter. I don't think that needed to be mentioned, but it's there. So, all right, I'm gonna go turn the generator on. Let's see what happens. Oh, before I turn the generator on, let's go down to 10 seconds, or, well, we have, or not 10 seconds, 1 minute, and let's go with 100% ish of 1 minute. So I think this light will turn on when it's powered, and then I think this switches on when it's, yeah, this light will turn on when it's powered, and then I think this blinks when it counts down. I don't know what happens. We'll find out. All right, it's counting down. Let's not miss it. We have about a minute to go here. Oh, and now it's powered. That's awesome. Yes, that is great. There it is. And there's the inverter. All right. Now that I know that that's working, I'm going to turn the generator off, change the oil, and let it rip. It's gotten a little bit foggy out here this afternoon. I've been mostly stuck inside the solar shed all morning, and it's probably just about noon by now, but working on this oil right now. It looks like most of it's drained out successfully into our makeshift oil pan. It's legitimate pan with oil in it, so I guess that makes it a legitimate oil pan, right? Let's get that back in there. Now this thing's supposed to take a whole quart of oil, so hopefully it'll fit a whole quart and not complain. There we go, that's more than tight enough. Where's this device here? Covered in snow, of course. Wipe it off on the pants. There's nice cold water off of the roof, goes right down my pants. All right, we're giving the old generator a little treatment today. We've got some gas treatment right there, but let me get this oil open. Hopefully without spilling it all over the place, which definitely would not be unlike me. Oh yeah, nice, clean, beautiful oil. Ah, there we go. All right, oil successfully changed. Now, all right, now for the gas tank. Now we're not completely empty, not even close to empty, which I couldn't tell you why. I ran it for several hours last night. But this here calls for, I think it's something like the whole bottle for 20 gallons. We have, I think, like 6 or 7 gallons here. So I've already done about a third of it on the a couple tanks ago. I'm gonna do about, oh, that's about another third there. Call that good. Okay. All right, that's about full. All right, this is a couple days later from the last clip of being in here. Just got back yesterday from, was it yesterday? Day before yesterday. Man, I'm losing all sorts of time being too busy. Anyway, so day before yesterday, just got back from a little Christmas vacation with the family, with the parents and siblings, and that was a lot of fun. And then this upcoming weekend, we got actual Christmas. So it's been a busy couple of days. So I'm hoping this video will probably come out, you know, maybe the week after Christmas. That's kind of what I'm shooting for. But if you guys see out here, there's a lot of snow coming down, which is impeding progress just quite a bit. But with that said, off camera, and I just wanted to get this done, so this was off camera. You see we have two more delays here. These here are a on delay, and then they turn off. So what's actually happening here, and just to preface the whole explanation here, is this here is the automatic generator start system. Now the Victron has a relay in it that turns on when the generator needs to turn on, and then it turns off when the generator should turn off. This generator requires a start pulse to turn it on and a start pulse to turn it off. Now the current setup that we have isn't ideal, is because what we're doing is we're taking this relay and we are determining which one of these relays, or these off delay relays, need to be powered based off of the relay up in here. So when the relay is in the off position, the is it the off position? Yeah, the off position, this relay here gets triggered. So this here is the off relay. Technically, it doesn't matter which relay it is, because it's basically when this relay switches, you get a pulse coming out. When it switches again, you get another pulse coming out. So technically, whichever relay fires doesn't really matter. But so basically, what it is, it's a one-shot system. This relay switches, these two relays together send out a single 3-second pulse, and that's what tells the generator to turn on or off. And then obviously we have the 240 volt relay here, and our on delay relay, which is to make sure that we're not charging immediately after the generator starts. And I got this turned down to 10 mins instead of 15. 15 was a little overkill. 10 might even be overkill, but I'm trying to adjust it in increments. Anyway, so I ended up going to bed last night. I didn't even have to turn the generator on before I went to bed. I woke up in the morning 100%. It was awesome. So mainly the reason we need the system, the generator, the automatic generator start, one, our battery capacity. We're a little bit shy on where we should be on battery capacity. Ideally, I'd like to be at about well, I say ideally, ideally right now, where I'd like to be is about 30 kilowatts. Man, that was slipping my mind. And then the other thing we're short on at the moment, we actually have them, they're just not hooked up, is solar panels, which are living in the garage. Like I've said a couple times before, we got 240 volt solar panel, or 240 watt solar panels in the garage, and I got to figure out how I want to get those set up. I think this big old tree right here needs to come down in order for me to do that. Maybe a couple of these trees. I got to remove this fence here, because basically right where this fence is where I want those panels to be set up. And the reason this tree would have to go is because, you know, you get ice and snow dropping off of the tree. We don't need that landed on the panels, not at all. So probably, you know, 3 or 4 trees over here can go, set up the panels there. That should be more than enough panels to get me going, especially on, well, not a day like this, but, you know, even a moderately cloudy day should generate enough power to keep the batteries charged. But anyways, I'm currently in the process of getting ready to, well, prepare for a couple days of snow. So we're going to get a couple days of snow like this, but not just that, we are going to get a couple days of very, very cold weather. So one of the days it looked like the high was going to be -2 and -15 for the low. Another day, 2-degree high, negative 10-degree low. So I'm getting a little bit prepared so I can get everything I need out of the way so I don't have to leave for a couple of days. On my way down to town, I'll stop by my uncle's place and thank him for plowing the road for me, because I currently don't have a tractor, but he plowed the road for me, which was very nice of him to do. And go from there. Eventually, I'm going through wood a little bit faster than I would like, but that's not a huge deal, because we do have these 2 trees here, and they're just right here that I can cut down. That'll be a good, you know, couple weeks of wood right there. Anyways, I'm rambling on. I gotta head to town and do some things before well, I get stuck.